Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I am one of your hosts, JT Matthews, at JT Matthews01 on X, and I am here with good Dr. Nicholas Manning at DR in Manning on X as well. We're going to be joined here by Alex Valdez at AlexVSports. He is taking care of the host, so let's stall for a minute. How are you, Doc?
I'm good, man. I'm just excited for one, sports, two, that we're having like multiple consecutive 60-degree days. First time, long time, and so that part has helped my mental health and just mood. So it's been dope. It's also spring sports season, so It's about to get live and it's about to get lit. So the calm before the storm.
It's gonna get busy here in a minute. Got three kids and our third kid's and gonna be football, baseball, soccer. Is that right? Something like that.
Yep.
And then basketball and soccer for my second. Gymnastics is she doing soccer too?
Yep. And choir and violin and volleyball.
Oh, volleyball.
Yeah. So
man,
it's a lot.
It was a nice 2-week break. Before we get thrown back.
The break was great.
The best thing about like outdoor spring sports though for rec is that spring in Colorado you'll get some weeks off for coaching at least. Yeah, 5 games. I like when they miss games. It's a practice here there. Kind of gives you a little breather mid-week.
Yeah. It's good. The worst though is when it's like the freezing season will happen and then it's like out there at 8 a.m. for 5-year-old soccer, not great. Do start our softball title defense this Thursday. So, Twisters for City Rec, all that stuff. Got my timing back, I think. Might be warning track power and all that good stuff. So yeah. You want to introduce our illustrious guest?
Yes, absolutely.
Make sure that I pronounce the U in the guest. Go.
Yes, we're joined by Alex Valdez at AlexVSports on the Twitter. He came here to talk Colorado sports with us. I'm going to do a little bit of Avs and Nuggets. We're going to jump mostly into Broncos. Alex, good day, sir.
How's it going, fellas?
Oh, doing all right. Just about to jump into some sports talk if you are down.
Yeah, you guys do sports on this thing?
Yeah, just every once in a while. We mostly just
we'll do a rom-com book club.
Oh, okay, cool.
We will also play 4D chess.
I'm out.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start with the Nuggets then. Talk 4D chess. Nikola Jokic is on a tear. This weekend had the first ever NBA 20 and 20 game. A good but not great showing against Oklahoma City on Sunday, and then followed up with a great performance on Monday night with I can't remember points. It was 30, 32, 31, 18, and something like that. Yeah. Nuggets are in the stretch run. It's a tough schedule coming down to playoff time. In Minnesota tonight, they play the Lakers twice in the next week. Who is without LeBron at the moment, but still a tough opponent. They did all the tough teams for the end of the season. How are you feeling, Doc, with you, just about the Nuggets right now, how they've been playing, and maybe a little bit in this MVP race between Jokic and SGA?
Yeah, I think first up, I didn't know that Jesus was Serbian.
Yeah, me neither, man.
But come to find out, Mike, all right, hyperbolicness, but every week I feel like we've chatted about it, and he just is like he's in a league of his own, and I just am appreciating that we'll never see another one like that again. Like they're just, you don't build them like that. His ability to outthink the game, his skill set, his efficiency, like Austin Rivers is actually talking about, like we've never seen a superstar be this efficient, right? And it's like, I don't know, man. It's like Tony Gwynn, like but Tony didn't hit home runs as much either, like the guy is, because I mean, this last game wasn't he 15 or 10 of 15, 20, like he missed 5 shots and getting a 30 or 40 burger. Like he's just, he's dominant without like dimming his teammates. And I don't know in any other sport where it's like, one guy is the guy and his other teammates have opportunities to shine. Whether or not they take them, I guess we'll talk about. So for this team to be in the 2 seed, you got to fend off the Lakers. So I think this is a clutch run. I don't want to hear about like we were fatigued going into the playoffs and crap. Either go for the 2 or roll the dice, and you can't have both ways. So I'm excited for where they're at. I feel like most of us, that feel like maybe this team has underachieved a little bit at some outside of number 15. With all that being said, to be in the 2, I think if all of us were objective, one, the MVP race like isn't over. So the fact that we still got like 20 games left and people are like, yeah, it's SGA's, like it's a wrap. We're seeing the best statistical season in the history of the league. So you stopped it already. Let's just cap it at what it is. Like you're tired of it's Jordan fatigue. Now we got Jokic fatigue. I'm here for it. You know what? Our player is so good. Like you don't want to talk about it anymore. It's a little bit about how I felt with Patrick Mahomes, right? Like I just don't want to hear about it anymore.
It's the John Fox annoying quote, right? Raises all boats. I mean, we saw it in that first OKC loss. It was, or I guess that OKC loss was, we saw when he was not efficient, the team just had no chance, right? So, I know we had, what was it? I saw TJ Watt was pretty much the odds-on favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year all season until like the final 2-3 weeks of the season, and then PS2 took it over, right? So, this whole crap, and there's a good 20% of the games to be played. Let's get out of here with this whole it's over.
It's crazy to me. It's like they're in the midst of like playoff races, like in good stuff versus the Grizzlies. Like we're shutting down the season already. Like and with that, why? Like what has Oklahoma City ever won?
Right.
Like whole franchise, right? Like I don't think they've.
Yeah, remember when they had Spurs and like Ibaka, they had Harden, they had Westbrook, they had
Durant. The benefit of the doubt to be like, yeah, that's a wrap. SGA, like they've won 1 series in the last decade. Let's like you said, like let's chill out.
What gives me hope about the Nuggets right now is they have not been a collective, healthy team all season. And I mean, we're looking at it again now with Aaron Gordon. But I mean, once we hit the playoffs, hopefully we're hitting our stride health-wise. But yeah, man, we haven't even seen a full strength, everyone gelling, Westbrook coming off of 6-man, that kind of team, fully gelling for 5 straight games. I mean, it feels like it's just been somebody. It's been a calf. It's been, whatever we've seen. So, yeah, man, I'm super excited. I mean, at this point, I'm tired of the Perkins out there of saying it doesn't matter what Jokic could do. Like, are you kidding me? What do you mean it doesn't matter? We've passed the point where we're past the point of not since Wilt stuff. Because that was the whole thing is, man, no one's done this since Wilt Chamberlain. Now we're to the point where he's starting his own categories. I saw something. It was like he started his own category of 4 times in his career has he had 90 points and 50 rebounds and 40 assists or something like that in a 3-game stretch. And he's done that 4 times in his career. And no one else has done that in the league ever. So yeah, it's fine. Give it to SGA. It's going to be one of those asterisk kind of things, like when the Lakers won the championship during COVID. No one's really going to look back and go, yeah, SGA was really the best player that year. Because, I mean, I'm of the frame of mind, you can't have fatigue on any player. I mean, yes, we hate him, but Belichick, how many times should he have won Coach of the Year? As much as we hate it, he should have won Coach of the Year a lot more. Tom Brady, again, should have won a lot more, right? We go for the best story, and we don't go for what truly is, right? The truly is best player of our, I don't know, decade, generation, I don't know, whatever it is. We're looking at a generational top 10 player right now, and we're going to say, no, he doesn't deserve it just because, I don't know, he's won it too many times. Or what was that Embiid year well, he already won it. Like, are you kidding me?
He hadn't won a championship yet, so he couldn't win it because he didn't win a championship.
He did replace that MVP with a finals MVP, so it's all right.
Yeah. I mean, he's ended the season as the most valuable player in some way, shape, or form the last 4 years.
Yep. And hopefully if he gets again, then it ends the same way. That's the dream. That's the hope. Just for context, and for those of you who haven't heard, Nikola Jokic is in top 3 in scoring, assists, and rebounding in the NBA, and that's just unprecedented. No one's done that. No one's ever finished the season in those categories in the top 3. So it's on a historical tear, and it would be a shame if he didn't win it. But at the same time, we know how this goes. And it's a lot about how media paints that race. So we'll see. But I think at the end of the day, the hope is that they make a push and they make some investments to get healthy before playoffs start, and they're able to get their full effort. Jamal Murray's rounding into shape and has been looking really good the last month or so. He's going to be a huge key component to them advancing further than they did last year. And it's going to be matchup dependent. There's a lot of good teams in the West, and so you're just going to have to, at some point you're going to have a matchup that's really tough early on, whether that be, a team like Minnesota in the earlier rounds where you get to play the Lakers again in the second round, or to a young athletic team like Memphis. Like it's not an easy road necessarily, but I think they've shown it's the best in the world in how efficient they're on offense. At times, if they can give a little more effort defensively, I think they got a shot against anyone. Switch gears and jump to the Avs really quick before we get to the time. Avs made a bunch of trades, a number of trades, not just at the trade deadline. They also made some trade deadline, some moves as well. They brought in Brock Nelson, who's now their second line center. They brought in, I can't think of his name, Charlie Coyle to be their third line center. They're really deep down the middle where that, a month ago they were kind of shallow there. They've recreated their goaltending room with Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood, who Scott Wedgwood head out the other night. Guys are just playing really well. They're kind of getting into the system that they have is run a really quick offense, a really quick, high scoring, high octane offense. It's even right now. Oh, okay, good to know. So Doc, do you want to give your perspective on the Avs right now and yours?
Yeah, it's the metaphorical putting the nuts on the table. McFarland was like, "Hey, you know what? I heard all that, all the crap, and that there was a lot of rumblings. I think very loud ones too. That he shouldn't be the GM anymore. He's riding the coattails of Sakic, all that good stuff. And then you trade Mikko, and I think that stuff gets amplified." With an understanding too that there were some other moves that were supposed to be in the mix. JT Miller, I heard like that was the next domino that was supposed to fall. And so with that, then being able to look like he's coming up roses with a Mikko deal, and now bringing in some absolute studs, best second line center the Avs have had since Kadri left, obviously really trying to fill those voids. So super excited about where they're at. Yesterday was a was a little bit of a letdown, but an opportunity to bounce back here again against the Calgary Flames. Had a whole bunch of people pop off. So you all just get to watch me. You know what? You're welcome. I'm super excited about where we're at. I think you get to see the greatness of Nathan MacKinnon. When you bring over a Marty Netchis, and he is a point per game player now. Don't really care about anything that's happened prior to Colorado. I know how he's playing here with the Avs. That's got to be another positive indicator about just what this team is capable of and where the team can go. And so overall, got to feel really good about where we're at. And so my hope being that they kind of settle with where success was. I don't know if I agree with Val coming off the power play. Hopefully that was just to give it a look. I think that the Avs want to, let's see who can do what and where. And now I guess if there's a time to be able to figure it out, it's with, about 17, 18 games left in the season. You're trying to work out all your line pairings, whether that be your special teams, penalty kill, power play, or, if you want to mix and match a little bit with your third and fourth line. However, this has to be the deepest Avs team that we've seen. At least since the Cup run. At least maybe even a little bit better. I just think that this team is really built for a cup, and I think that JT is going to pop in here in a second, and he's going to pick up exactly where I left off.
They're ready for a cup.
Internet shut down. Yeah, everyone. Yeah. I ended on I think that this has to be the deepest Avs team at least since the Cup team. And you have the best player in the world, and then I think your second line center, right, with the teams that they'll play, whether that be Winnipeg, whether that be Dallas. You got to feel like you match up, essentially kind of line for line. Winnipeg and Dallas are first and second in the West in goals scored a game. The Avs are third, 1 goal behind the Stars. Goals against, this team, since getting good goalies, has made a significant gap closing in the process of building a championship level team. When your backup goalie is doing, getting saves on his head a few nights ago in a shutout, you have to feel really good that if this team continues to push, play together, it's kind of right. I think I'm back to Stanley Cup or bust.
Yeah. I think that was the goal, right? When you give your team such a facelift and you end up shipping out one of your stars, a lot of times we'll just kind of step back and say, okay, this is what we got transaction. Let's see how this works out. And really, McFarland has really gone forward and just said, hey, we're gonna push our limits. We're gonna see who we can get, and we're gonna make McKinnon's prime and Kill's kind of rounding into his prime. The window is now, and you admire it in a way, and you hope that at the end of the day they end up with the prex to kind of reload when this is all said and done. I as a GM, the goal is to win, and you have the opportunity to win, and that's in that window now. So I think the idea is that they're kind of up or bust right now. They lost last night. They got a point in the standings, and so they're making sure they really it's going to take some time for them to come together and kind of gel with how many changes within those lines. But already, Nichushkin, Brock, and Jonathan, that second one looks dangerous. Nichushkin had a hat trick the other night. Bell's looking good next to Colton. Kivir scoring a lot lately. Lehkonen and McKinnon are high power, high octane line, and so you've got the depth to get you through. You got the depth to kind of get you to that next level. And now it's going to be about informing kind of on the fly, a lot of new guys in that rotation. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that they can do that. I'm hopeful that they can make a push.
Yeah. It's cup or bust, and McFarland. I mean, when they gave away a sizable haul through all of those deals, and I think with that you're welcoming the expectation of, we believe that this group can win it all, and outside of, which is potentially a very probable scenario, that the Avs play the Stars in the first round, and that could be, that's a Western Conference final worthy first round if there were. Which is a little bit of a shame, but in the end, I think you're going to have to go through teams like that to get to a cup. And I believe that this team is it. I really like the feel that they have. Even you bring in Eric Johnson back, hearing the guy say, "I will shovel snow in between shifts just to be a part of this team again." I think EJ is probably just one of the most likable dudes in the planet, but I think that sentiment goes a long way. A guy that's accomplished a lot in this league to say, like, this is special, and I'm coming here because I know that we can win, so much so that I'll sit on the bench and cheer. I'll do whatever it takes because I believe that this team is that good. Yeah, I mean, he knows more hockey than I do, that's for sure. So
it's got to be that toothless smile, right?
It's I'm just telling you. The question I think I'll have is will the goaltending transfer to the playoffs? Blackwood hasn't played in the postseason, I believe, or at least hasn't started games in the postseason. Once the face off goes, or once the puck drops, can you chill out a little bit? Probably. But I think in the preparedness, the pressure, the scrutiny, all that stuff remains to be seen. I don't know that he won't. I don't know that he will. I think that by far is probably the one area that I wouldn't feel that confident in, just because we haven't seen it. Other than that, I mean, you got to feel really good. This team has skill. They have size and toughness now with those additions that they've made, and there's not, I don't think that there's a brand of hockey that they can't play now, and that I think is what you need when you go into the playoffs. Being skilled and fast is great, but we saw last year against the Stars, it only worked so far. You got to have guys with grit and with some size and tenacity. Losing Val kind of showed where those warts were, and they weren't able to, to play that style against a equally skilled team. And so now I think you continue to have a skilled team, better goaltending, and you got some bigger dudes. And like we'll talk about the Broncos, sometimes you need toughness, and for toughness' sake, and in a sport like that.
Kind of feels like we're like the hockey version of the Los Angeles Rams. It's one of those F them picks kind of, right?
Now,
right?
Yep. But it's the Canadian version,
is you get Val back kind of as just a random free agent, right? Because after all of this stuff. So I think it's awesome. We're making that run. We'll deal with the future in the future. Whatever happens with Nelson after this year and all that. But Netchus, I mean, they are at least 3 lines deep at this point.
Yeah.
With a Hall of Fame, center at, with Mac, you got Hall of Fame in Kale, we're at least 3 lines deep, and I would hope that they can tap back into that speed element that they had their first, or I guess their last cup, where it was just pressure, and we're just going to play on your side of the ice the entire game, and then just goalie be damned. But we'll get there when we get there. But I don't know, man. I'm super excited, especially kind of seeing Val and kind of rooting for him, watching that more closely.
Yeah, for sure. And we got the Gabe Landeskog stuff still floating out there too. He's got a little docuseries, or I don't know, documentary. I'm not sure what it is exactly.
Yeah, it's a documentary. He's participating in another one. Like he's an executive producer of one, and then one is about him and his comeback. One, I'm going to watch the crap out of it because hockey doesn't ever really let you in. Like if any sport could benefit from like a Hard Knock style stuff, like hockey would be it. Like that.
Yeah.
It's dope. It's best in person sport in my opinion. None of the guys have personalities though. So just kidding. But I think to highlight some of that and like why we fall in love with other sports and like why you become you become super loyal to this guy or that guy is often like what you get to see about them personally. I think it would go a long way in developing the sport. That said, also if they just want to continue to be voiceless mercenaries that kick ass at a sport, like I'll watch crap out of it too, which I'm excited about. So do either of you think that this team, let's see. All right, let's see how far. Okay, before we transition out. Both of you think that they're going to make it, and mind you, we don't know the matchups, but just saying. They'll make it past the first round. Feel pretty confident that they will.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yes.
Do you feel confident that they will win their matchup in the second round?
I do. They're the 4th seed right now, and that's after 45 different lineups. So they, again, just like the Nuggets, they have not even really gelled yet. Plus all of these new players that are obviously extraordinary. So I'm excited to see that. I don't think that there is a ceiling for this team. So just to answer your next question, yes, I second round, easy.
Yeah, I think it'll depend on the matchup, but I think they definitely have the juice to get past second round. Only team I worry about is the running Jets early on. Their goaltending is great. We played them earlier season. They beat us pretty good. So we are a different team than we were then. So I'd be interested to see how they stack up against Winnipeg. It's a big, physical, strong, defensive team. Remind me a little bit of the Stars a couple of years ago or last year, and or like the Blues a couple of years ago, and that big, hand you down kind of team. So I'd be interested to see that they're just very different in how they function. So that's the one team that really would kind of worry me, but I definitely think they could. They have the opportunity and the talent to get past the second round.
Yeah. I think really depending on who their first round matchup is, because if it's a matchup with Dallas, for instance, I agree. I heard Mike Evans on the radio say like whoever wins that, I think represents the West in the Stanley Cup final, and I agree with that. I think Winnipeg, are they different than last year? So I think last year I think they handled it. They handled the Avs pretty well during the season, and then we get to the playoff matchup, and in my opinion, a lesser version Avs team, last year's version, I think is not as good, at least on paper, as this rendition. Handled them 4-1. So maybe the Avs struggled too before they made their cup run. Maybe it's the Jets season, all that kind of stuff. But when you have two of the best players in the world, I think, or the two best players, top whatever you would say, you have the best defenseman right now, and then you have the points leader in the NHL and Nathan McKinnon, who continues just to add layers to his game. I mean, looking at their lineup, I don't really see. You have to get really to their fourth line. I still kind of like their fourth line with Parker Kelly, Drury, and O'Connor. You know that those guys will get limited minutes come playoff time, right? I mean, you stick with really your big dogs for the most part. You got to feel good about your ability to match up on defense. Adding the depth that they have. again, still feel really good, and I feel a little bit better about the goaling. I think matchup matters, but this team just has a feel, especially over the last couple of games. And like you said, Alex, they haven't really even got to gel yet. And there's a strong rumor, right, that Gabe will come back in the playoffs. He can't come back before the playoffs because of salary cap stuff. And even if that's even remotely an option, just part of me is like, I don't know where I put him right now. Coming off rusty, like that's a good, better feeling than, when we talked about it preseason. Like, I hope that he just, like, if they got 80% of it, that'd be dope. I think they've got 80% of Gabe in their lineups, and overall, just I think you hit on that. There's no ceiling yet. Had a road bump last night. We'll see. Go to Calgary tomorrow, right? Tomorrow night, and we'll see if they get back on the hump. It's one of those, if you don't have a lot of back-to-back losses, I think you're a team that's going to fare really well when it comes playoff time, because essentially you're gonna keep yourself in every series, and if this team remains in the series, I think that they got the right guys to get it done.
Did you guys see that we have two of the top fastest players in the NHL?
Oh, really?
With McKinnon
and
Netchus.
Yeah.
And Netchus
Oh, is he? I didn't know that cat. I knew he's quick. I didn't know he's like that. He's like fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not only that, but Nelson is, he's coming from the Islanders, where he was more of a puck handler, and on some of their power killing plays or some of their power lineups, he's not even going to be that. It's going to be Nate, right? So that is going to be really cool to watch some of those penalty plays.
I mean, it's and hearing the guys talk about the guys that are coming here. So not just Nelson, Coyle, like, hear them talk about the other guys that are also coming here, right? Like, I'm glad I don't have to play against him anymore. Like, that's just it makes you feel good. Maybe they're saying nice stuff, but I think anytime hockey players add on praise that they don't have to, it makes sense. It adds some weight to me, because it's just not a culture of, like, blowing smoke, really. And so hearing Marty talk about, like, Brock, and, like, he's a pain, and I am glad I don't have to play him anymore, and I'm glad he's on our team. Even especially for an Islanders team who, I don't know the last time they were really, like, good and been steady good, but he was a force enough that people like, but that guy, though, was legit. And like you said, he's the second line center.
They were mourning on Twitter when they traded him. Like, they hated to see him go. Like, you're getting
isn't that the best way to, like, find out what kind of guy you got? It's like what the fan base response is. And so
100%.
Honest opinion, though, we're all gonna be put on our honest hats here. Were we all three sad about the Mikko trade when it happened?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
And then we all look very silly.
We've looked. It has. At least in our conversations about it, I was a little bit more. I figured it would happen. In my defense, too, I had no idea who Marty was. Jack Drury, right? I think the nephew of Chris Drury. I only know the name because he was an Avalanche guy and all that stuff. So, and okay, you got a couple, like, mid-round picks, like, in hockey. Like, what are those? So the whole, I mean, how good they've both been since coming back, and Marty has been a better player than Mikko was. I'm not saying that he's a better player, but he has produced to the same clip for a third of the cost. And that's some humble pie, or at least giving some credit where credit's due. And then on top of it, having the stones to make those additional moves. One Mikko equals one Martin, one Charlie, and one Brock. Like, that's pretty. This team had to get deeper, and so egg on face for sure. And I think anytime you guess that top 10 player in the world, you usually don't trade those kind of guys. Brought us a cup. I think that there were going to be some feelings. It was a pretty good dude, at least from all accounts to the outside. And when you miss a guy like that, like you just don't get a lot of those that are lifelong your team. that said, what happened in Carolina, and then like all the stuff, like, oh, like, yeah, you know what? Like that was even extra. Like, all right, maybe there's some other stuff there that I'm glad I didn't know about.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't fault the guy for going to get his money or chasing his money, but it is funny though, because we see that happened about a month ago or so, but happened right before free agency, and you're kind of see what he's asking for, or happened before NFL free agency, and you see what he's asking for, and you're like, man, just give it to him. It's only, what is he asking for, 14, and then it came down to 12, and then you realize, oh yeah, okay, well, these are not 1-to-1 salary cap.
No, hockey money is significantly different, and in a hard cap, you can't fudge that stuff. It is
right.
Yeah, less mobility. Like, no.
Yeah. Well, it's a great segue because we're going to talk about Broncos free agency now. Doc, I'm going to let Jake audio is a little hopefully it gets better as we go on here. But set the table for the Broncos free agency moves.
Well, we all saw these moves coming. All the insiders had it nailed about who the Broncos were going to get in free agency.
Are we going to talk about the big news of today? Right, Justin Strnad?
We are. We'll go in a little chronological order, or let's not. So we knew that the Broncos needed a joker. They needed a matchup tight end. We have not had a receiving threat at tight end since 2014. Julius Thomas was here. And the Broncos went out and got their guy. There was a little bit of concern whether or not their guy would be their guy after he left Dove Valley without a contract, was visiting the Chargers today, and then left the building. So, if you love them, you let them leave and they'll come back, or whatever that saying is. So Evan Ingram, new Broncos tight end, 2 years, $23 million. With 16 guaranteed per Mike Kliss. First, before we go back to the defensive end and some of those moves, Alex, what's your initial take on the Broncos' new tight end?
Fun. It's been a while since we've had any kind of tight end of note, right? I just remember getting Adam Troutman and thinking, wow, our starting tight end is the guy named Troutman. So I'm sure that's going to go great, right? So I'm super excited for at least the potential. I was watching some of his game earlier this week, and let's face it, I'm not exactly watching Jaguars games on the weekend. So, but what I do know of Evan Ingram is he's a tight end that's going to be at the depth that you need, at the spot that you need, can read those option routes, and that is what I feel like we were missing. It's not, any guy can break a guy off at the line of scrimmage, right? But are you going to be at the depth that you need? What people don't understand is, remember that New Orleans game when Bo threw that just random spot, he threw it and no one was there. It was between, who was it, Franklin and Kroll, I think it was.
Yep.
And everyone's like, wow, where was he throwing that? We were able to break it down, and it was actually Kroll was at the wrong depth. He was supposed to be where Bo Nix threw it. So I don't feel like you're going to get that a lot with the wrong depth with Evan Ingram. And it's those kinds of things. And I think that is why it takes, tight ends so much longer to develop. Because, if you look at it, who were the top tight ends, Brock Bowers not included, last year? It was George Kittle, right? He's in his 30s. We're looking at, Andrews kind of came on late and then kind of fell off in that last game. But it is some of these tight ends, they do take a while. So it's not something, especially as we enter the draft, we can get into that later. But if we are looking at a first-round tight end, that tight end might take a while. So I'm kind of happy that we did find maybe not a joker at this point in his career, a guy that's going to break you off at the line and then take you deep, but a guy that's going to be where you need him to be. Definitely that safety blanket that you're looking for your now sophomore tight end or a quarterback. I'm more happy that we can get a guy that is going to be where he needs to be, because you did see some of that fall off with Vele, with Franklin, some of these things that they're going to learn as they come on into the season. But it is some of those savvy vet kinds of things that you need from a guy like Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Broncos utilized the middle of the field last year when Cortland Sutton ran a dig route. Yeah, essentially when it got used, and without a really good receiving back of note. You had your dump offs to Javonte Williams in the like Samaje Perine style, but we weren't really attacking or utilizing the middle of the field. I think this provides you with that opportunity. He's not going to come here to block. I think that's obviously for us. So getting a 3-down tight end, I think, is still in play in the draft. So what this does is, at least to me, outside of running back, there isn't a clear like hole now, right? Where it's like you have to zero in at 20 and get desperate. And for the most part, even looking at some of the other deals, I mean, he's not even in the top, I think, like 12 of highest paid tight ends now, for a guy that caught 114 balls last year. And so they had to do something. And I love the aggressiveness. I don't know if we're at total balls on the table. And that's the last time I'll use that, I promise, guys. and then, but we are, what they are telling me, the message I'm getting from the Paytons is we think this team can win, and not just like win 10 games, like have a winning team. We think this team can win a Super Bowl, and the window's open. You don't bring you don't bring a guy like Evan Ingram in for 2 years if you don't think you can win in those 2 years. Right? Why are you going to waste the capital? You might as well go young, develop that part, and then go get a guy like him in 2 years. You don't bring a guy like Talanoa Hufanga at safety, guy that probably should have or could have got upwards of $20 million if some injuries didn't happen. And mind you, when you get free agents, there's always going to be a ding, or they probably wouldn't be free agents. So you're banking on some risk. But for an organization who's been the healthiest NFL team in the league the last 2 years, I think you're banking on, I think we got something that other people might not. So you bring a guy that's been a Pro Bowler at tight end, I think. He catch 114 balls with flag football, Pro Bowling. Now I assume that he probably was like one of those alternates or something. Hufanga, who is first team All Pro. One of my guys coming out, banged on the table for him, wrote hit pieces on it when I was back doing the writing gig. They needed a guy. What did you say? Hair on fire, right? Like JT, like they needed that. So you got a big, versatile offensive weapon. You got Hufanga, who plays, Troy Polamalu style. The guy is smart, knows where he needs to be, and plays with some frenetic, lack of self-preservation, which I appreciate. And then that goes to the other 49er cast off in Dre Greenlaw, who they very much wanted back. And, hearing from a few places that if he didn't have the injury history, he would have been a player that would have gotten that $18 to $20 million linebacker money for $11 million a year. It's a 3-down linebacker. I hope that Alex Singleton is still a part of this team, is a 3-down linebacker. Both of those guys in complement to one another. You still have PJ Locke on the roster, so you're 3 safeties deep. They bring back Justin Strnad as a good special teamer. I think there were moments and times last year where he showed up pretty well as a 3rd or 4th linebacker. Jaquan is good on the inside. You got the outside. You got the best pass rush, or at least pressure package in the NFL last year. Holy crap. Just, you know what? Sean Payton has done this before. He spent a ton of money and resources on defense. Hey, you know what? I'll get the team to be a top 10 in scoring, which they were last year. Hey, boys, let's give you all that you got, that you need, Vance. Go keep them from scoring. I'll fix the rest. And I mean, on paper, is this not the best defense in football?
Absolutely. Especially when you look at, I would be worried about injuries, obviously, right? So we're banking on Alex Singleton coming back from ACL. We're banking on Greenlaw and Hufanga being what they were, hopefully. We're also banking on Riley Moss coming off that MCL ding, whatever it was, that he didn't look his pre-injury self when he came back. But if there's one player or person in the organization that needs to be just dialed in and paid exorbitant amount of money, it's going to be Bo Lowry, right? So everything hinges on this guy getting everyone to where they need to be. And I don't know if the Evan Ingram signing it felt like it was just a let's come in and court you kind of thing after the fact, but have to remember he did end the season with an injury. So was it they needed to look at him and see if that was good to go? But then we find out later that they took him out to eat, and then he goes to the Chargers, and then he comes back here. Yeah. It just sounds like Bo Lowry is on one, and he's killing it. So all the faith in him, and especially if we get a guy like Loveland who's coming off a shoulder, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm sending all the good vibes to Bo Lowry this offseason because, yes, as you said, on paper, this defense looks dangerous. Maybe the depth isn't there, but you worry about the depth when you have to worry about it. But it is on paper right now the scariest defense we've seen since 2015.
Yeah, I mean, I think the moves that they made just bolster that defense and that defense that's already dangerous, a defense that's really, and so bringing some more veteran guys, I think they could move. Especially in law and ability to kind of plug up the middle where we had some issues stopping run. They're going to add it to do. I think they're as good as this team, maybe lack that a little bit. Kind of that tough, hard nosed, grinded out personality, at least. Not that the players didn't embody that to a degree, but I think that it's a little more gritty now, which is nice. And then the Ingram addition it gives you something, sort of weapon across the middle of the field, a big body, a guy who's a pass catching tight end going through. It's just going to come down to health. If everyone's healthy, it feels great. You hit some bumps of the road with some teams, and it gets a little more dicey. But at the same time, you still have a good foundation. That defense, the defense really hasn't changed all that much. They brought Strenad, which I know isn't everyone's favorite, but it's a depth piece. It's a special teamer, a guy, in a game or two. This season, Doc and I were both like, all right, he can step in and kind of fill a role. We saw long term that's not really what we want him doing. But it's not that. It feels like they're trending in the right direction with all of the moves so far. They're not overpaying, finding. I don't want to say Burgundy guys, but is that maybe are being overlooked because of their injury history, their history so far in the league. So it'll be interesting to see what moves they make continuing forward, and the impact on how they draft. Now that we've got a pass catching tight end, do you look at a first round tight end? Or does that kind of fall down the priority list? Priority now that these guys are, and I think we'll have to see, and we'll have to kind of listen to what those look like. But I have to imagine there's some offensive players coming in the draft with the moves that so far. Alex, how much of you in the draft class? Do you have any hopes and dreams for the Broncos? Maybe first, second, third round guys.
I mean, I try to watch as much as I can, and then during the off season try to familiarize yourself with a lot of players that are coming on that other people are like, oh yeah, you need to watch this player. So I usually try to build at least a top 60 of my own. Maybe the top 45 to 60 players are top 20, 200 players to everyone else. But I like some of these players. I think it's a really good draft. Maybe not top heavy. When we're kind of shitting on Sador Sanders as being a guy that can fall in the first round, or a guy that's not. They kind of compare him to last year's class and say, oh well, he would have been like the 5th, 6th, 7th best quarterback. Whatever. Right. He'll have his chance, but it is definitely not a quarterback class you're going to be chasing. It is funny enough. What do the Broncos need right now? We still need a future at tight end. We still need a dynamic running back. And in this draft class, pick your poison. If you want some big hefty dudes that 6 foot, 6'1", 220, you're looking at Caleb. You're looking at Omarion. Right there in the trenches. If you want a huge tight end, it's filled with pass catching 6'5" dudes that can run. Maybe not the best at the combine because if Ferguson is running your fastest tight end at the combine, kind of have issues. But it is nice outside of running back. I would say it's not a need running back because they still do have plans for Audric Estime. They do still like Blake Watson as a pass catcher. So yes, you don't have to go in there and say, guys, we are desperate. But what you can do at pick 20 is go, okay, well, where we were really needing, we were really looking at, man, do we have to trade up for Warren? Do we have to trade up for Genty? Do we have to take Colson Loveland here? Now you can go, let's kind of just go best player available. Obviously do it responsibly, best player available at a position of need, but shoot. I mean, Hufanga is coming off injury. He's kind of had some injuries. Do you look at a Nick Umanwari? Do you look at Jahad Campbell at inside linebacker? Do you look at some of these Walter Nolans in the first round as a defensive lineman? Some of these guys that can be there, whereas we're going to be like, yeah, this guy is probably 5 spots ahead of the guy that I was going to take, but I actually needed a tight end, so I'm going to kind of ignore that kind of stuff. Now you can go in there and say, well, let's just make our strength, right? So I am really, I keep saying excited, but I'm super excited where this offseason is going. But I'm kind of excited that now we can go into a draft for the first time in 10 years without looking for a quarterback. And with a quarterback that is on a quarterback contract, right? So you're going into free agency with a quarterback rookie contract. You're going into the draft with a quarterback in hand. You're not desperate. You're not looking at Sam Darnold's. You're not looking at trading for Geno Smith's. You're not in anything like that. Now you were just going in there and going the fun part and going, let's get weapons. Let's get the exciting stuff. And man, I do kind of like, now that we have Evans, I do kind of like putting tight end a little lower on the priority list because, I don't know what kind of credence it lends to a bridge tight end, if there even is such a thing. But he does kind of give you that flexibility to where you can go in there and go, okay, well, maybe we're not looking at a Loveland or a Warren. Maybe we're kind of looking at, Arroyo. We're kind of looking at Mason. We're looking at Ferguson and Helm. Mason, funny enough, he has Broncos coach ties. Helm has some Denver ties from Highlands Ranch, I believe. Ferguson from Littleton actually just played right up the street.
Great kid, right?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be really. I feel like the stars are kind of aligning. Maybe not to get, Bo Nix's brother, but maybe just one notch over and get Ferguson. I mean, it's kind of a perfect fit. They need a tight end. He's super fast, great hands. He's a hands catcher too, not a guy that kind of catches with his body. This guy will catch away from his body, and that's what you want to see from a tight end, especially running over those middle, running those dig routes, running those weaves. So I do like Ferguson. Maybe in the third, kind of prioritize, push your running backs up a little bit. Maybe you're looking at Omarion in the first. Maybe you're looking at Caleb in the second. I know a lot of people are big on Scattaboo and all that, but we can cross that line. That's kind of the polarizing, I would guess, just because
it's fun.
The white, right? But
you said it.
It's super exciting. I'm super excited where we can go in this draft. It can't get here fast enough. All eyes are on, what are we going into the draft now? We're needing a starting running back. Or I guess what Peyton would say is a need and a want, right? We want a starting running back. We want a future at tight end. Now with JFM and Allen kind of looking for their extensions, maybe you want to bolster that defensive line. outside linebacker, that's set. That's good. I like Dondra Tillman. I like Alice Cooper, and obviously Benito is going to get his big extension here. I would say before season, early season. As you broke it down, our middle linebackers are set as long as that Singleton comes back. I know they still want to try out Drew there. Defense is good. I think we're looking at depth there. Offense, now let's just go get Bo some weapons.
Yep. Yeah, it's a quick question for any of you before I kind of get on a real quick spiel. Is there any position outside of kicker or punter or long snapper? Okay. Move those out. That if they drafted them in the first round, you'd be mad. Or, you know what I mean? Like what are we doing here? There's a top prospect, within reason. They don't go like Alex Leatherwood. In the first round, like right now, there's not a position that if they went and got it, that I would feel a certain way about. And I think this one wonderful thing that that John Elway did, at least in his tenure, is it made sure that you left free agency with no glaring weaknesses, which is kind of the point of free agency, right? Is to give yourself flexibility in the draft that you can attack it in the way that I think amplifies value. I mean, that's this for sure, right? So Troutman is a perfect, in my opinion, number 2 tight end. Blocks well enough, can catch the ball. He doesn't tilt what you're doing when he's out there. That's Kroll, I think, is still an ascending player. Where he'll ascend to, I don't know, but I don't think he's done cooking. Nate Atkins, I think, is a good H-back. I would assume that maybe they'll keep him in lieu of Burton. And so if they didn't draft one early, I feel okay. Like you said, I actually think the meat of this draft is really in day 2, early day 3. I would be okay with a trade back, grab another day 2 pick, and really make sure you leave, with some of those positions of need. They have to, they have to draft a running back, my opinion, have to draft a tight end before the 4th round. That's it. Like, just someone that that has the capability to start from day 1. If they got an offensive lineman, I'd be cool. Defensive lineman, I'd be ecstatic because that's just strength on strength, like you said. Can't pay everyone too. So, JFM probably is maybe the odd man out next year. Walter Nolan or, a Derek Harmon like that. TJ Sand, like that sounds pretty dope, and being able to continue to have that. Teams that draft early too in the trenches usually have success. So them drafting an offensive lineman, even if they didn't start this year, gives us options for next year when Ben Powers, Mike McClinchy, you got to be able to do some of those things. So there's not a position. They went and got another cornerback. I wouldn't be mad either. I don't think that they need one, but you've never been like, man, you know what? This team has too many corners.
Right.
That'd be mad.
I just think that Broncos are in a great spot for either someone flying forward to them, or B, the person who's said forward to be a good. Someone want to come up and potentially offer you some picks to get that guy if it's not an area of need. And the flexibility that they've given themselves with the free agency pickups so far allows them to make either of those decisions, right? If you feel like whoever that guy is, it's a time falls down and he's there and available, you can take him. Or, I feel like there's more value on getting multiple picks on day 2 than you move back. And I think that's kind of it's nice to be in that place after 20 years of one team quarterback trying to figure out the best way to get a guy that you have some faith and confidence in. It's a nice place to be for this team, as opposed to being the one searching for the next quarterback of the future, the next big talent that's going to take you up to the next level.
Yeah, we all just rolled our eyes at that because, man, I'm so tired of the Teddy Bridgewaters and Flaccos and Keenums and.
How fun was it to throw crap at Seahawk fans? A little bit like, how's that feel? Sam Darnold, boy, nice. Daniel Jones coming to a RCA Dome near you or whatever.
Hey, as you said though, is we're not entering the draft we're not going into that going, man, I'm really upset that they got an offensive guard. Because, I've played around with some of the simulators, and I'm like, okay, Booker there, he's probably the best offensive guard, or Memembu, kind of where you want to play him. But you draft an offensive guard, and you're like, that's kind of boring. That's not exciting. But then you look down the road, and you're like, hold on, we've got a really good offensive line Ben Powers, you save money there, or
Yeah.
you know, you have a McGlinchey next year, or
Yeah.
and then you just kind of roll with this, you know, Bo Nix contract, and you're trying to protect Bo Nix, right? Because
Yep.
what was it? It was Russell Wilson had the most sacks in the league with this safe offensive line, right? Maybe Lloyd Cushenberry excluded. And then you get to this year, and Bo Nix is suddenly, now the offensive line has figured it out. Come on now. We know what the change was. So it is cool that you can go into the draft saying, you know, punter be damned, fullback be damned, but you can go in there and say, let's legit get the best player available, and let's just keep building on whatever strength it is.
100%.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Sure. Well, I think that does it for our time today. We appreciate everyone being here. Alex, thank you for being here, man. We love chopping it up with you. Talking Broncos, talking Colorado sports teams. Anything you have to plug besides AlexVSports on X?
No plug. I'm just trying to do my thing. So if you guys want to follow me, cool. If not, then why not, man? I'm super cool, and I'm back on there.
That's true.
Yeah, go follow him. He's a good follow. No stuff. That's why we have him on here. Well, thank you, everyone. We appreciate you. Be kind to one another. Be safe out there. And if you need a sports prescription, ask a doctor.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute,